In today's video, we explore 28 executive assistant interview questions and answers. Each answer can be customized to highlight your unique qualifications and experiences. Before your interview, be sure to research the company and review the job description so you can include key skills relevant to the job role in your answers. Question number 1. Let's start by you telling me about yourself and your previous experience. This question is often the first step in the interview and helps hiring managers get a snapshot of who you are, how your experience aligns with the role, and what you're bringing to the table. They want to hear a clear, confident summary that reflects your skills, professionalism, and how your background connects with the responsibilities of an executive assistant. This is also your chance to set the tone and show you understand what the role demands. If you have previous experience working as an executive assistant, you can use the following answer in your interview. I've spent the last 5 years supporting C-level executives in fast-paced environments, including 2 years at a healthcare tech company and 3 at a global consulting firm. In those roles, I managed complex calendars, coordinated domestic and international travel, and served as a point of contact for high-level clients and partners. I'm used to juggling shifting priorities while staying 2 steps ahead, whether that means anticipating scheduling conflicts, prepping materials before meetings, or streamlining daily workflows to keep things running smoothly. One of my favorite parts of the job is being a trusted partner to the executive, someone who can be counted on for discretion, quick thinking, and reliable follow-through. I'm extremely organized, comfortable with tools like Microsoft Office, Google Workspace, and Concur, and I take pride in being calm under pressure. I'm now looking for a role where I can continue providing high-level support while contributing to a collaborative, mission-driven team. Next, here's a perfect answer for someone with limited experience as an executive assistant. I come from a background in administrative support and customer service, with several years of experience managing scheduling, handling confidential information, and coordinating across departments. In my most recent role as an office coordinator, I supported multiple team leads, managed calendars, arranged travel, and organized internal meetings and events. I quickly became the go-to person for problem solving and communication, which led me to want to grow into an executive assistant role. Although I haven't supported a senior executive directly yet, I've had to balance competing priorities, interact with external partners, and maintain accuracy under pressure, all of which are key parts of the EA role. I'm very comfortable with Microsoft Office, Google Workspace, and task management tools, and I always bring a service mindset to my work. I'm excited to step into a role where I can build a long-term partnership with an executive and bring order, efficiency, and reliability to their day-to-day. Question number 2. Tell me about a time you had to manage multiple priorities at once. Hiring managers ask this to understand how you handle pressure, multitask, and prioritize effectively. As an executive assistant, juggling competing deadlines is a regular part of the job. They want to see that you stay organized, communicate clearly, and don't let quality slip under pressure. During a product launch week, I was managing my executive's packed calendar, coordinating a last-minute board meeting, and finalizing travel arrangements for a client summit. Everything was high priority and time-sensitive. I quickly mapped out each task by deadline and impact, blocking off focused time in the executive's schedule to avoid interruptions. I delegated non-urgent tasks to our shared assistant and used color-coded calendars to manage overlapping events. I also sent the executive a quick daily briefing each morning so they could see what was coming and what decisions I needed from them. Even with the high volume, everything was completed on time, and the launch went smoothly. That experience taught me the value of staying calm, communicating early, and using tools like task lists and shared calendars to stay ahead. Managing multiple priorities is part of what I enjoy most. It keeps the day dynamic and purposeful. Question number 3. What are your strengths and weaknesses as an executive assistant? This question is about self-awareness. Hiring managers want to know if you understand your own working style, what you bring to the table, and what you're actively improving. They're not expecting perfection. They want honesty and accountability. One of my strengths is anticipating needs before they're spoken. I've developed a habit of reading patterns, whether that's blocking prep time before meetings or having a briefing ready when news breaks. My executive has often told me they feel more in control because I stay 2 steps ahead. Another strength is my ability to remain calm when things shift unexpectedly. Whether it's rescheduling a packed day or troubleshooting tech at the last minute, I focus on solutions rather than stress. As for a weakness, I used to overextend myself by saying yes to everything. I've learned to manage my time better by setting clear boundaries and delegating when appropriate. I still strive to be helpful, but I now prioritize sustainable support over being constantly available. I see growth as part of the role. Question number 4. Describe a situation where you had to handle a difficult client or stakeholder. Executive assistants often serve as the first point of contact for high-level clients and stakeholders. Hiring managers want to see if you can stay calm under pressure, resolve conflict professionally, and protect the executive's time and reputation. This question reveals your emotional intelligence and communication style. A client once called, demanding a same-day meeting with my executive, who was completely booked. The client was frustrated and threatened to escalate the issue. I acknowledged their concerns and listened without interrupting, which helped ease the tension. I explained the scheduling limitations and offered 3 alternatives, one of which included a short virtual check-in the next morning. I also looped in a senior team member who could address part of the client's issue in the meantime. By being responsive, respectful, and solution-oriented, I was able to preserve the relationship without overcommitting my executive's time. After the meeting took place, the client thanked us for being flexible and transparent. I've learned that even the most difficult interactions can be turned around with empathy, quick thinking, and clear communication. Question number 5. How do you make sure you stay organized and meet deadlines? This question reveals how you handle time management, especially when supporting fast-paced leaders. Hiring managers want confidence that you can track multiple tasks and deadlines without dropping the ball. Your answer should reflect systems and habits you rely on. I rely heavily on both digital tools and structured routines to stay organized. I use a task management system like Asana or Todoist to break projects into manageable steps with due dates. For each day, I start with a priority list, placing time-sensitive tasks at the top. I also schedule buffer time in the executive's calendar to handle last-minute needs without pushing deadlines. For recurring tasks like expense reports or board meeting prep, I create templates and reminders to stay consistent. I review my week every Friday to spot potential conflicts or high-demand days ahead, and I adjust plans before issues arise. Clear communication is key. I check in regularly with my executive to confirm priorities and flag anything that may need more attention. These habits help me deliver reliable support and keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. Question number 6. Share an example of a time you went above and beyond your regular duties to support your executive. Hiring managers ask this to see how proactive you are and whether you're willing to take initiative without being asked. They want to understand if you can anticipate needs and go the extra mile to make your executive's job easier. It also shows your level of ownership and dedication. During a major investor event, my executive was leading back-to-back presentations and meetings. I noticed he hadn't eaten all day and seemed visibly fatigued. Without being asked, I arranged for a private lunch delivery to be brought directly to a conference room between sessions, and I adjusted his schedule by 10 minutes to give him a short break. At the same time, I prepped a summary of the next meeting's key talking points, printed his presentation notes, and had water waiting in each room. He later told me that small window of downtime helped him reset for the rest of the day. It's not just about following instructions, it's about paying attention and stepping in where support is needed. I see my role as an extension of the executive, and I take pride in anticipating those little moments that can make a big difference. Question number 7. Describe a time when you had to adapt to a sudden change in plans or priorities. Executives operate in fast-changing environments, and assistants must pivot quickly without losing focus. Hiring managers want to know how flexible you are and whether you can stay calm and solution-focused when things shift unexpectedly. They're looking for resilience, creativity, and grace under pressure. While preparing for a quarterly board meeting, the executive's flight was suddenly canceled due to weather, and we had to switch to a fully remote format with only a few hours' notice. I quickly secured a quiet space with reliable Wi-Fi, contacted IT to set up a virtual conference line, and resent the presentation deck to all board members with a new link. I also adjusted the agenda to better fit the virtual format and built in short breaks to keep the meeting productive. Throughout the day, I monitored the tech connection and kept the executive informed on time checkpoints. The meeting went smoothly, and one board member complimented how seamless the change felt. That experience reinforced how important it is to stay calm, think ahead, and communicate clearly. Plans will change, but I focus on adapting quickly so the executive can stay focused on leading. Question number 8. What experience do you have with scheduling software and travel arrangements? Efficient scheduling and travel coordination are key responsibilities for an executive assistant. Hiring managers ask this to gauge your familiarity with relevant tools, your attention to detail, and how well you can manage complex logistics. They want confidence that you can handle last-minute changes and ensure smooth, cost-effective travel. I've managed complex calendars and coordinated domestic and international travel using tools like Outlook, Google Calendar, Concur, and TripActions. My experience includes booking multi-leg trips with hotel, flight, and ground transportation while keeping in mind preferences, loyalty programs, and time zone differences. I always build in buffers for rest or delays and confirm all details 24 hours before departure. For example, I once had to rebook an international flight mid-trip due to a canceled meeting. I quickly researched alternatives, re-coordinated hotel and car services, and updated the itinerary, all while my executive was in the air. I also manage visa appointments and travel insurance when needed, and I prepare travel packets that include agendas, contact info, and local recommendations. My goal is to make sure my executive can focus on the work ahead, not the logistics behind it. Question number 9. How proficient are you in Microsoft Office Suite, Google Workspace? Hiring managers ask this to ensure you're comfortable with the tools needed to support daily operations. Whether it's creating reports, managing spreadsheets, or preparing presentations, software proficiency is essential. They're looking for confidence, speed, and examples of how you use these tools to add value. I'm highly proficient in both Microsoft Office Suite and Google Workspace. I use Word and Google Docs for drafting and formatting executive communications, Excel and Sheets for tracking expenses and project timelines, and PowerPoint or slides to build clean, executive-ready presentations. I also use Outlook and Gmail for calendar and email management, including rules, filters, and shared inboxes. For example, I once created a dashboard in Excel that tracked multiple project milestones across departments. It auto-updated using formulas and conditional formatting, making it easy for the executive to spot delays or wins. I also regularly create meeting agendas and take minutes using Google Docs, which I share and update in real time. These tools help me work efficiently and collaborate across teams, whether in office or remote. I'm always open to learning advanced features that improve workflow. Before we continue, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching this video. You can download a copy of these interview questions and answers in PDF format by clicking on the link below and supporting my channel by making a minimum donation of $3. Your support allows me to keep creating valuable content to help you pass your interview and land your dream job. Thanks for your support and appreciation. Question number 10. Tell me about your experience managing budgets or expense reports. Executive assistants often track spending, submit reimbursements, or manage department budgets. Hiring managers ask this to assess your attention to detail and whether you understand financial accuracy and confidentiality. It also shows whether you've worked with tools like Concur, SAP, or Excel for tracking expenses. I've managed monthly expense reports and tracked budgets for team events, travel, and office operations using tools like Concur and Excel. I'm meticulous about matching receipts, verifying policy compliance, and submitting everything on time. I also flag any unusual charges for approval before processing. One quarter, I noticed our department's event spending was trending higher than usual. I created a simple Excel tracker that categorized spending and highlighted areas where we could cut costs. I shared it with my executive and we adjusted the next quarter's event plan, staying within budget. I also manage recurring payments for subscriptions and services, ensuring vendors are paid on schedule. Keeping budgets organized and accurate is something I take pride in. It helps the executive make smart decisions and keeps financial records clean and audit ready. Question number 11. What tools or strategies do you use to stay informed about industry trends or company news? Executive assistants often play a strategic role by anticipating needs and being aware of industry or internal shifts. Hiring managers ask this to see how curious and proactive you are about staying informed. They're looking for someone who can provide relevant context, support leadership decisions, and act as a reliable resource. To stay informed, I subscribe to industry newsletters, set Google alerts for company and competitor updates, and follow relevant LinkedIn influencers. For example, when I supported a VP at a tech firm, I made it a habit to check TechCrunch and industry blogs each morning. This helped me stay ahead of news that could impact investor relations, staffing, or product roadmaps. Internally, I attend company all-hands meetings, review internal updates, and touch base with department leads to stay in sync with major initiatives. I'll often flag important headlines or internal shifts and include them in my executive's daily or weekly briefing email. Being aware of the broader landscape helps me anticipate calendar changes, prep materials for meetings, and offer informed support when unexpected questions come up. It's not just about staying current, it's about staying useful. Question number 12. How do you ensure effective written communication on behalf of an executive? This question assesses your writing skills and judgment when representing someone else's voice. Executive assistants often draft emails, memos, or presentations, so hiring managers want to ensure your communication is clear, professional, and aligned with the executive's tone and goals. When writing on behalf of an executive, I start by understanding their communication style, whether they prefer formal or conversational language, how they open and close messages, and what kind of tone fits their personality. I often reference past emails or documents they've written to match their voice. Before drafting anything important, I clarify the key message and audience. If it's external, I'm especially careful with tone and structure. Once drafted, I proofread for clarity, grammar, and accuracy, then share it for review if it's sensitive. For recurring communications, like weekly updates or follow-ups, I create templates they can approve or tweak over time. For example, I once wrote a high-level client follow-up email that the executive sent with only minor edits. The client complimented the message, and my executive appreciated how well it captured his tone. Writing with care builds trust, both with the executive and with whoever's on the receiving end. Question number 13. Have you ever had to troubleshoot technical issues with office equipment or software? Executive assistants are often the first to respond when something stops working, whether it's a printer jam, a video call glitch, or a software login issue. Hiring managers ask this to see if you stay calm, take initiative, and solve problems quickly without disrupting workflow. They want someone resourceful and tech comfortable who doesn't wait around for IT when time is tight. Yes, technical issues come up often, and I try to resolve them quickly so they don't derail the day. I once had to set up a high-stakes virtual board meeting when the video conferencing software suddenly crashed right before the call. I immediately switched to a backup platform we had used before, sent out new links with instructions, and walked each board member through the change. Afterward, I worked with IT to understand what happened and documented a step-by-step contingency plan for the future. I'm also comfortable with basic troubleshooting for printers, projectors, calendar syncing, and cloud-based tools. I don't panic when things go wrong. I stay focused on solving the issue, communicating clearly, and keeping my executive's time protected. If I can't fix it myself, I escalate it with context to speed up resolution. Question number 14. What qualities do you think make a successful executive assistant? This question reveals your understanding of the role and whether your values align with what's expected. Hiring managers want to know if you're proactive, detail-oriented, and relationship-driven. It also helps them assess your fit within the leadership style and team culture. I believe a successful executive assistant is proactive, trustworthy, adaptable, and emotionally intelligent. You need to anticipate needs before they're voiced, juggle priorities without losing focus, and maintain complete confidentiality. An EA also needs to read between the lines, knowing when to push for decisions or when to shield the executive's time. One trait that's often overlooked is discretion. Whether it's managing sensitive projects or preparing communications on behalf of leadership, being trustworthy and professional is everything. I also think clear, concise communication makes all the difference, especially when relaying time-sensitive or complex information. I see the EA role as a mix of strategic partner and steady operator, someone who makes things happen behind the scenes while keeping everything running smoothly and calmly. Question number 15. How would you describe your communication style? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you collaborate, provide updates, and represent your executive in writing and conversation. They want to know if you're clear, respectful, and effective when dealing with high-level individuals. Your answer should reflect awareness and adaptability. My communication style is clear, respectful, and solution-focused. I tailor it depending on who I'm speaking with, whether it's a C-suite executive, a client, or a team assistant. With my executive, I keep updates brief and focused on decisions or actions needed. I avoid overloading them with too many details unless they ask. When speaking on their behalf, I stick to their tone and preferences, whether more formal or conversational. I also check for understanding, especially in written communication, to make sure there's no confusion. I always aim to strike the right balance between professionalism and approachability. Good communication builds trust, prevents errors, and keeps everything moving in the right direction. Question number 16. Why are you interested in working for our company? This helps hiring managers assess whether you've done your research and whether your interests align with the company's values and direction. They want to know if you're enthusiastic about the role and not just applying randomly. A thoughtful answer shows commitment and cultural fit. What drew me to your company was its strong leadership, reputation for innovation, and commitment to employee growth. I was especially impressed by your recent expansion into new markets and the way you've emphasized collaboration across departments. That tells me you value not just results, but also the people and systems behind them. As someone who thrives in fast-paced, structured environments, I'm drawn to supporting leaders who think strategically and move quickly. I've also heard great things about your internal culture and how executive support is viewed as a key part of the leadership team, which aligns perfectly with how I see this role. I'm excited about the chance to be part of a company where I can grow professionally while contributing in a meaningful, behind-the-scenes way. Question number 17. How do you prefer to receive feedback and direction? Hiring managers want to understand how coachable and adaptable you are. This question also helps them know how to best communicate with you day to day. They're looking for someone open to feedback and able to implement changes without resistance. I appreciate direct and constructive feedback, whether it's about a specific task or something I can improve over time. I prefer receiving it in real time or shortly after a project when it's still fresh and actionable. I'm always looking for ways to improve the way I support my executive, and feedback is a big part of that. I also welcome periodic check-ins to align on expectations and priorities, especially when starting a new role or learning someone's preferences. The more clarity I have, the better I can anticipate needs and work independently. I see feedback as a tool for growth, and I never take it personally. It helps me stay aligned and continue delivering high-quality support. Question number 18. What are your long-term career goals? This question helps hiring managers understand how this role fits into your bigger picture. They're looking for ambition, but also alignment with the position. A strong answer shows you're committed to growing with the company and view the role as a stepping stone, not a placeholder. My long-term goal is to continue building a career in executive support and eventually step into a chief of staff or senior operations coordinator role. I really enjoy being behind the scenes, solving problems, improving workflows, and helping leaders focus on their most important work. Right now, I'm focused on becoming the kind of assistant who anticipates needs, thinks strategically, and contributes to the success of both the executive and the broader team. I also hope to grow my skills in project management, internal communications, and cross-functional coordination. This role feels like the right next step, and I'm excited by the chance to learn from a high-performing team while making meaningful contributions. Question number 19. How would you handle a scheduling conflict with a high-profile meeting? Hiring managers want to see how you manage competing priorities under pressure. Scheduling conflicts are inevitable, so they're looking for someone who communicates clearly, remains diplomatic, and resolves issues without disrupting the executive's goals. This question shows how you think on your feet and maintain relationships. If I encountered a scheduling conflict involving a high-profile meeting, I'd first assess which commitment takes precedence based on the executive's strategic goals, stakeholders involved, and any deadlines. I'd check whether either meeting has flexibility and, if needed, reach out to assistants or contacts involved to explore rescheduling options that still respect everyone's time. I would never cancel or move something without first confirming with my executive. Once a plan is in place, I'd send a concise update to all parties, offer alternate times, and follow up with revised calendar invites and materials. For example, a board meeting and investor call once overlapped. I was able to shift the investor call by 30 minutes by explaining the importance of the conflict, and I arranged a pre-call briefing to ensure my executive was still fully prepared. I focus on transparency, timing, and respect in every scheduling decision. Question number 20. If your executive suddenly changed their travel plans, how would you adapt? This question tests your flexibility, problem solving, and ability to manage high-stakes logistics on the fly. Executives often need to change plans with little notice, and hiring managers want someone who can stay calm, act fast, and handle the details without errors. If my executives suddenly changed their travel plans, I'd move quickly to minimize disruption. I'd first secure the new travel arrangements, whether that means changing flights, hotels, or car services, while keeping cost and timing in mind. At the same time, I'd cancel or adjust the original plans to avoid unnecessary fees. I would also notify any affected parties, such as clients or internal teams, and provide an updated itinerary right away. If necessary, I'd prepare travel packets, adjust meeting times, and coordinate time zone changes. This actually happened when my executive had to return early from a conference due to a family emergency. I rebooked the flight, arranged transportation, informed key contacts, and handled the hotel checkout, all within an hour. The key is staying calm, communicating clearly, and thinking 3 steps ahead. Question number 21. What would you do if you notice a discrepancy in an important report? This question evaluates your attention to detail, integrity, and judgment. Executive assistants are trusted with sensitive information, so hiring managers want to know you'll speak up when something's off and take initiative to fix it. They're looking for someone who's thorough and proactive, not reactive. If I noticed a discrepancy in an important report, I'd first double-check the data and source documents to confirm the error. If I still had concerns, I'd bring it to my executive or the report owner right away, along with specific notes or examples to make the issue clear. I'd frame it respectfully and focus on the outcome. I noticed something that might need a quick review before we send this out. If I'm responsible for fixing it, I'd correct the numbers, document the change, and update the version history. In a previous role, I caught a financial miscalculation in a Q2 presentation the night before a board meeting. I flagged it, worked with the finance lead to verify the correct figures, and had the final slides updated before printing. My attention to detail saved the team from presenting inaccurate data and built trust in my ability to safeguard important information. Question number 22. How would you prioritize tasks if you were given a list of urgent requests? Executive assistants often face shifting priorities and must make judgment calls on what matters most. Hiring managers want to know that you can assess urgency, communicate clearly, and manage time without constant supervision. This question shows how you stay focused and efficient under pressure. When given a list of urgent requests, I quickly assess which tasks are time-sensitive, who's involved, and which directly impact the executive's performance or visibility. I ask myself, what's critical to today's success? I'll organize tasks into priority tiers, immediate, end of day, and what can be delegated or deferred. If anything is unclear, I'll check in with my executive for alignment. I also update them on what I'm handling first so they feel confident things are under control. For example, I once had to prepare a board deck, schedule last-minute interviews, and coordinate a media call all in one morning. I tackled the presentation first since it had a firm submission deadline, then looped in a recruiter to help with interview slots while I prepped the media materials. Prioritization is part structure, part communication. Question number 23. Describe a time when you had to think creatively to solve a problem. This question reveals how you handle roadblocks and think outside of the checklist. Hiring managers want to know if you can find creative solutions when a standard approach won't work. Your answer shows initiative, adaptability, and how you approach problems with a solution mindset. We had an executive leadership retreat coming up, and one of the scheduled venues canceled a week before the event. All local options were either booked or not a good fit for our group. Instead of panicking, I reached out to a nearby tech campus we had partnered with in the past and pitched the idea of hosting the retreat on their site. They were open to it, and within 48 hours I arranged catering, transportation, and an agenda tailored to the new space. I also created a digital welcome packet with maps, schedules, and team bios to make it feel polished. The event went smoothly, and several executives commented that the new space actually made the retreat more productive. Thinking creatively often means reaching out to your network, using what you have, and being willing to pivot. I enjoy finding solutions that go beyond the obvious. Question number 24. What are your salary expectations for this role? Hiring managers ask this to make sure your expectations align with the company's budget and compensation structure. It also gives insight into your market research and how you value your experience. They want someone confident but flexible, who knows their worth and is open to a fair discussion. Based on my research, the responsibilities of this role, and my experience level, I would expect a salary in the range of, here you provide your desired salary range, then continue saying, depending on the total compensation package. I've supported C-suite executives in fast-paced environments, managed complex travel and scheduling, and contributed to high-stakes meetings and reports. I also bring strong technical skills in platforms like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, and expense management tools, which I know are valuable for this position. That said, I'm open to discussing the full package, including benefits, growth opportunities, and team fit. My goal is to find a role where I can contribute meaningfully, feel supported, and grow with the organization. I'm confident we can arrive at a number that reflects the value I bring while aligning with your structure. Question number 25. Describe a challenging situation you faced as an executive assistant and how you overcame it. Hiring managers want to know how you respond under pressure and whether you can solve complex problems without losing your composure. This question also highlights your ability to think critically, communicate clearly, and take initiative. It shows how resourceful and dependable you are when things don't go according to plan. During an executive offsite, our venue had a last-minute power outage just before a key client presentation. There was no internet and the projector failed. I had to act fast to keep things on track. I quickly contacted a nearby co-working space, confirmed availability, and coordinated transportation for the executive team and client. While they were in transit, I used my mobile hotspot to re-download the presentation and synced it to the new location's equipment. I also updated all attendees with the revised schedule and directions. The presentation went on with only a 30-minute delay. The client later praised our adaptability, and my executive thanked me for keeping everything moving. That day reminded me that preparation matters, but flexibility matters more. I've learned to expect the unexpected and stay solution-focused. Question number 26. Are you comfortable working overtime or on weekends if needed? This question helps hiring managers assess your flexibility and willingness to support high-level executives whose schedules often extend beyond regular hours. They're not necessarily looking for someone to say yes to everything, but they do want to know if you can adapt during peak times or urgent needs. Yes, I'm comfortable working overtime or on weekends when needed, especially during critical deadlines, events, or travel. I understand that executive schedules don't always align with a typical 9 to 5, and my role is to provide support that helps things run smoothly, even when that means stepping in during off hours. That said, I also believe in being efficient with time during the work week to reduce the need for overtime whenever possible. I try to stay one step ahead so we can avoid last-minute scrambles, but when unexpected things come up, I'm ready to jump in. For example, I've handled last-minute travel changes late in the evening or prepared materials over the weekend to support Monday morning meetings. I'm committed to supporting the executive in a way that's responsive, dependable, and sustainable. Question number 27. How do you handle confidential information? Executive assistants often deal with sensitive materials, budgets, HR issues, strategic decisions. Hiring managers need to trust that you'll be discreet, professional, and respectful of privacy. Your answer should show maturity, integrity, and clear understanding of what confidentiality means in the role. I treat confidentiality as a core part of the executive assistant role. Whether I'm handling sensitive financial data, internal memos, or executive communications, I follow strict protocols for access, storage, and sharing. I never discuss confidential topics in public areas or with anyone who doesn't need to know. For example, I once assisted in preparing materials for a confidential acquisition. I kept all documents in encrypted folders, restricted calendar invites, and coordinated meetings discreetly. I was trusted with early-stage details because the executive knew I would protect the information. I also understand that trust isn't just about data, it's about behavior. I maintain a neutral tone, avoid gossip, and always err on the side of discretion. Respecting confidentiality builds credibility and keeps the executive's confidence intact. And finally, here's the last question. Question number 28. Do you have any questions for me or for us? Hiring managers ask this to gauge your interest, curiosity, and whether you've thought about how you'll fit into the team. It's also a chance for you to demonstrate thoughtfulness and professionalism. Strong questions can leave a lasting impression. Yes, I do have a few questions I would like to ask you about this position. First, how do you define success for this role over the first 6 months? I'd love to understand your top priorities and how I can best support them. Second, what's your preferred communication style with your assistant? Do you prefer email, messaging, or brief check-ins throughout the day? Knowing how you like to stay informed helps me support you more effectively. Third, can you share a bit about the team dynamic and how this role collaborates with other departments? I'm always looking for ways to streamline cross-functional support. And lastly, what are you most excited about in the company's direction over the next year? I really enjoy working in roles where I feel aligned with leadership goals, so hearing your vision helps me understand how I can contribute meaningfully. If you want to learn more on how to land jobs and reach your career goals, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button to get new videos every single week. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because that motivates me to keep doing what I do. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.